Hey guys, welcome to Data Science Week number 5. So we're just going to talk about some more Python fundamentals with the Google Collaboratory Notebook. So yeah. So we're going to learn about something called taking input. Basically what we're doing is we're taking some type of input from a user. We're taking some type of information from a user. That could be how much money they want to withdraw from their bank account. Someone wants to withdraw $45 from the bank account. They have to tell, right, that they want to withdraw that much, or they want to give their name, in a certain form or something. That's also called taking input. So let me talk about taking input first. In the Google Collaboratory, I'm going to open up a new one. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to, or actually, you know what? I might as well just use the one that I was using before, actually, in the last video. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, but I'm going to call it, I'm gonna add a text block here, actually. I'm going to add a text block and I'm going to call it, um, week number 5. Oh, 1 second. Week number 5 tutorial video. And we're going to make the text very big. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I think that works. And we're going to add a code block here, okay? Look at that. We're starting like a new week kind of, Okay, week number 5, the tutorial. Let's go. Okay, taking input. So input can be stored in a variable, guys, and there's different types of input. There's string input and there's int input, right? So let's say you want to collect someone's name, right? You can make a variable called name, and you can say name equals input, okay, which is a keyword. So I want to talk about what keywords are. Keywords are like defined words in a language, right? In Python. These are words that have like specific actions. When you call them, they do specific tasks or actions for you. And you can't use these keywords as variable names. Okay, so you can't make one of your variable names as print because that's a keyword as well. So yeah. Name equals input, okay? And you can say in your parentheses, you can say please give your full name, and then you can put colon here. Okay, and what this is gonna do, it's just gonna this is just like a way of what's gonna come up on the screen itself. Okay, this is just gonna come up on the screen and it's gonna ask you for whatever your name is. So look at this. It's asking what's your full name, right? So I'm gonna say Krish Bala. Look at that. And it didn't actually print anything. I typed this. That's the reason why this came up. But you guys all know how to print, right? All you have to do is print name. Look at that. And now it's gonna actually come up if I type my name. So I have to type my name one more time. And look at that. It's gonna come up. Actually, let me give a space between this. So I can just add a space here and look at that. It'll look a little bit better. At least. Oh, 1 second. Krish Bala. Look at that. It looks a little bit better now. Yeah. Yeah, you can write anything you want here. This is just a way of like writing something, and then right next to that, you're gonna have somewhere where you can input. That's all. So you can add a string here. Yeah. I hope that part made sense. I'm gonna go whatever over int input now. So I'm gonna ask for, let's pretend we're like in a bank setup. Okay, so I'm gonna say withdraw equals int, right? Input, and then I'm gonna say please how much money are you going to withdraw? And then I'm gonna put a space afterwards like last time. And I'm gonna say print withdraw, okay? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna try this. And I'm gonna say 45 bucks, okay? Look at that. It printed 45. So everything works here, guys. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, it works. And let's see, 45. Yeah. And the cool thing about this user input, you can use it for other things. Like let's say you wanted to, multiply by 2, right? Just because, so you say withdraw times 2 is equal to, final cash. Okay. Then you say print final cash. Look at that. You know what it's gonna print? It's gonna print 90 because 45 times 2 is 90. So if I type in 45, of course. So it gives you 90. Look at that. Just kind of cool, right? Okay. I'm going to talk about if-else statements, and then I'm going to talk about for loops, while loops, and I'm going to talk about what a data frame is really quickly as well. So what an if-else statement is when we only want a certain statement to run if it clears a certain test. When we use if-else statements, we want something to run only if it passes something, if it works for something else, right? So I'll use an example. So let me just think of something other than the one that we used in class earlier. Okay. Okay. I think I got one. So I'm going to make a text here and I'm just going to explain what I'm going to be doing. Okay. So I'm going to say there is there are prizes being handed out at the bank. If you withdraw over $100, you get awarded 3 cookies. If you withdraw over 50 but less than 100, then you get 2 cookies. Anything above but less than 50 gets you 1 cookie. Everything else is 0 cookies. Okay. So we're gonna try coding this, okay? Which sounds kind of hard, right? But 1 second. And you guys, oh wait, why did this come out like this? Get awarded. It's kind of weird, right? I don't know why it came out like that. Oh, 1 second. Yikes. And you can put these 2 asterisk symbols right here instead. Yeah, I don't know why that's coming, but just ignore that part. That's not the main point. We can fix that later on. I think it's like some type of equation text. I haven't worked too much with this system itself. There's another one called Jupyter Notebook, which is extremely similar to this. So it's just, yeah. So I'm going to be getting this withdrawal system, right? Like again, like this, this where we withdraw cash, right? So we're going to take user input just like we did before, okay? And I'm going to make this one called withdraw withdraw price. No, not price. I'll call it withdraw bank, okay? Just a really random variable. I'm going to say int input, and I'm going to say please actually I'm going to say how much are you going to withdraw, right? And I'm going to say print withdraw just to check if this actually works, right? It's a good practice to always check if your code works. So let's check. Oh, 1 second, I got capitalized. Okay, so I'm gonna put 45 here, and it did print out 45, so it is working. So let's go back. So basically what I'm thinking about doing here, right? We're gonna write this if else, else if, and else statement. So we're gonna write if, okay? And I may have not mentioned this before, but what an if statement and else statement has, it has a Boolean value, okay? So it only runs if something happens. So if this is true, then it runs. If it's false, then it won't run. So that's very crucial, right? And then, like I told you guys before, Boolean only returns true or false. So if something's true, then it'll run. If something's false, then it won't run, right? And here, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna say if something is greater than 100, then you're gonna get this many amount of cookies. But if it's less than 100, then you're gonna get something else, right? So I'm gonna say if withdraw bank is greater than or equal to, okay, 100, then what's going to happen is you're going to get print. You got 3 cookies. Yeah, and I may have not went over this into too much detail in the last video with these comparison operators, but I think you guys understand those, right? Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or less than. Those are pretty self-explanatory. All this means is it greater than or equal to 100? And if you want to do less than or equal to, you just do this over here. And I'm just going to comment that out for now because we don't, that would cause an error if you do run that. So, but we can see though, if you do if withdrawal bank account is equal to 100, then you get 3 cookies. But guess what? If I run this and let's say I only withdrew $82 or something, watch what's gonna happen. So 82. It's gonna print 82, but I'm not getting any cookies, even though I'm supposed to get 2 cookies, right? I still gave over $50, but where's the rest of the cookies, right? So that's when you do an else if statement, okay? When it has to be, it has to be less than something in a way, but greater than something else. Sometimes that's where you use it. Else if statements are used in, several fields, not just this. But in this situation, it's going to be used because it has to be less than a certain value, but greater than the other value, right? So else if withdraw bank is greater than or equal to 50, right? Greater than or equal to 50, and you're gonna print you got 2 cookies. Now look, if it fails, okay, so what's gonna happen, right? If you type in 82, it's gonna do 82 is greater than or equal to 100. That's false, so this won't run at all. And we'll go to the else if statement, and it'll say, is 82 greater than 50? Yes, it is. So it's gonna print you got 2 cookies. And we can do the same thing for 25 now. So we can say withdraw bank is greater than or equal to 25. And when using these if else statements, you always have to have this colon here, by the way. You always have to. And this space always has to be here. It's very important. So you're going to say print you won 1 cookie. So let's say if it's like, $26 that you want to withdraw, right? This is going to fail. This is going to fail, and it's going to go directly here, and then it's going to work. Yeah. Unexpected indentation. Did I mess up the indentation somewhere? That's weird. Oh, it's my bad. Oh, by the way, this is not else if, my bad. This is called elif in Python. I actually take Java at DVHS, so I get confused at times because I'm always coding at 2 languages at once. But yeah, my bad. In Python, you actually use elif. You don't use else if. In Java, you actually use else if, but my bad. You use elif here, okay? It's good that it's a video, so you guys can keep watching. So my bad. Yeah. So, and then there's this last thing called else, right? And else is if all these conditions fail, then else means that'll be like the last thing it runs. Like if everything else fails, then this will run. So it's going to be else. Then I'm going to put print, and then you won nothing. So if all these statements fail, then it's going to go to the else statement. That's all it means. So let's try this with a couple of numbers, okay? Let me try 82. 82 is gonna print. You got 2 cookies, right? Let me try 102. You got 3 cookies. If you try 27, you won 1 cookie. Let's say I only withdrew like $3. You won nothing. Look at that. It works, right, guys? It goes through each statement and checks, if it runs or not. So, this is something I'm going to be assigning in a homework assignment later on. But yeah, just, I hope you guys understand. My bad with the else if. Yeah, it's like I just got a little bit confused with Java and Python, which actually happens a lot if you're coding too much at once. So yeah, I hope you guys understood that. Okay, I'm gonna go to for loops quickly. For loops and while loops help repeat statements that could otherwise be done manually or done one by one. Sometimes these processes must be done over 1,000 times. When this happens, we need the computer to solve it in a quicker and more efficient way instead of doing each statement only once. So if you want the computer to print a certain value like 1,000 times, do you want to do print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4 like 1,000 times? The computer can do that in 2 lines of code actually. You don't have to print, you don't have to handwrite each number. You don't have to do 1 line of code for each number. There's a way of actually doing this. And that's for the for loop, right? So what's gonna happen? I'm gonna add another code block here, and we're gonna say for x in range, and I'm gonna explain this in a second. I'll say 0 to 10, print x. And when we run this, we're gonna get 0 through 9, not 10, and I'll explain that in a second. So what this is doing is it's just a loop. We're defining a variable called x here, okay? Okay, and we're using this keyword called in, and we're using this function called range. What range does is it gives you a range of values from 0 and then to 9, okay, not to 10. It goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Think about it, 0 also counts as a value, right? If you do 10 minus 0 here, it's going to give you 10 values. There are 10 values here, by the way. So it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You see that? It doesn't go to 10. It goes to the number right before that, basically, in this range value. And range can start at a different value. It doesn't have to start at 0. It can be from 5 to 10. It could be from 9 to 10. But we're going to start from 0 to 10 for now. So basically what this x is just a variable, and it's going to keep going, right? So what it does is, right, the first time x is equal to 0. That's basically what it means. We go x equals 0, and it's going to print x as 0. Then what happens? The system automatically adds 1 to the variable x. So we're going to get 1, right? Then we're going to get, then it happens, the range, right? You can see it goes from 0 to 10. Then x becomes 1. Then it becomes 2. Then it becomes 3. Then 4. Then 5. Then 6. Then 7. Then 8. Then 9. And that's why it's printing these values. You see? It's incrementing. Basically, what's happening, we don't see this happening. It's just, I'm going to comment it out. It's x equals x plus 1. That's what's happening every time, basically. It's just being added over and over, like, and until this reaches 10, basically. Okay? So I hope that made sense. This time is supposed to be a little bit confusing. It's not going to be easy. Okay? And there's this thing called a while loop. Okay? While loops are like if statements and for loops combined in a way. While loops are like when a certain statement is true, then it'll loop that many amount of times. So let's say I can go back to the, actually no, I'll do a different example. Actually we did an example in class. I'll do like gasoline, okay? So let's say someone wants to, let me do text for this as well, okay? And so someone is filling up gasoline. And they need to, and they're required to fill 10 liters of it. Okay. The gasoline gets added 1 liter at a time until the person adds 10 liters. The computer will keep telling it to add more gasoline. Okay, guys. So I added the text block, and I'm going to add the code block now. So basically what I'm trying to say is you have to get 10 full liters of gasoline, and we're going to increment it by 1. That means every time, it's not realistic, but what's happening is over time, more liters of gas are filling over and over and over again until you reach 10. So we're going to start with gasoline equals 0. Okay, this means we start at 0 liters. Okay, then we're going to use this keyword called while. Okay, and we're going to have parentheses, and we're going to have gasoline is less than 10. Okay, let's make it less than or equal to 10 actually. Yeah, so we're going to have less than or equal to 10. Also for for loop, I forgot to mention, you have to have that colon and you have to have those indentations like before. Same with the while loop as well. So like I told, while loop has a Boolean value here, right? Gasoline is less than or equal to 10. What is that? It's going to either return true or false, right? So And this while loop only runs if it is true. So we're gonna put colon here, and we're gonna say print fill up more liters. Look at that. So what happens is, right? Gasoline is equal to 0, right? So gasoline is equal to 0 here, and it's less than 10. So it's going to run here, right? But if while loops are a little bit different from for loops automatically increment if you add this range and for x in. They automatically increment each time. It automatically becomes bigger. It becomes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But while loops don't do that. So basically what happens, right? Gasoline is always going to be 0 in this case. There's nothing to increment. If gasoline is always 0, this statement is always going to be true. 0 is always going to be less than 10, right? And what's going to happen is an infinite loop is going to occur. When you can't exit out of a loop and it keeps running over and over and over again forever, that's what is called an infinite loop, okay? And the way to stop an infinite loop is just to make this statement false eventually, right? And we can do that in a multitude of ways, but we can just do it simply by incrementing. So we can do gasoline plus equals 1. That's all we have to do. And what's going to do is it's going to add 1 to gasoline each time until we get equal to 10. So this is going to print 10 times, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Maybe 11. 1 second. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, my bad. 11 because it's equal to 10. If you take this off, then it'll be equal to 10. But if you do this, it'll be equal to 11. But you guys can see it prints 11 times just because this statement is true, right? And as soon as it's false, it exits out of the loop and stops. You guys see that? And this gasoline value changed completely. Like, look at this. If you print gasoline now, gasoline, it's not 0 anymore. Look at it. It's going to be 11. See that? I hope you guys understood that. Okay, and this is the last thing we're going to be doing for this video and this week. And this is Pandas data frame. Okay. Pandas is an open source package that has several resources that can assist us with data science and machine learning algorithms. Remember our Excel spreadsheets with columns and rows? It's very similar to that, except we're going to be using this for, some statistic-based stuff, and we're also going to be graphing, like I said earlier. Think of it more as a Python setup. And what a package is, right? It's like preset code in a way. It's code that's other people made for us, so we can use it in our code. Like you remember that range function? That's code that other people have made. So we can use that keyword that was made by other people, and we can use that in our code, right? It's an open source package. It's all part of an open source package. So what I'm going to do here, you guys don't even have to write this down. This is kind of hard, but I'm going to say import pandas as PD. So you're importing a package and you're putting it under the name PD, okay? And then in the next line, I'm going to say D equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys don't have to understand this yet, okay? Don't be freaked out if you don't understand this. This is not even probably going to be on your homework, so. And then you're going to say df equals PD dot data frame. Data equals D, I believe. And then I'm going to say print df. And look at this. 1 second. Oh, yeah, okay, there's no error now. So this imports the package, this sets a list, and then you're going to get a data frame here. So watch what happens. Doesn't this look kind of similar? Actually, let me make this look a little bit aesthetically better. So 1 second. In Jupyter Notebook and Google Cloud Laboratory, sometimes you don't even have to with the print statement if you only have one thing that you're printing. If you're only printing one thing, you don't even have to with the print statement. Look at that, it looks a little bit better, right? Look at that, it looks like more like a table. But doesn't this remind you of Excel in a way? There's rows and columns. And we're all going to tie this together later on. You see, that's why we started with Excel. I wanted you guys to get a general idea of rows and columns, right? And now we're getting that general idea, but we're doing it with coding as well. I'm going to be talking about this more next week. This is a little bit complicated, but you guys are going to get really good at this eventually. So, thank you for listening to this week. And, I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.